Today's passage is Luke chapter 8, verse 26 to 39. And in this passage, we read of a demon-possessed man known as Legion who encounters the power and the love of Jesus. Now, Luke tells us that this encounter takes place in Gerasenes, a Gentile, non-Jewish region. That's reinforced by the fact that there's a herd of pigs. Good Jews wouldn't live anywhere near those unclean animals. Now, Jesus, when he gets off a boat, usually when he arrives in a town, he's normally greeted by vast crowds. But on this occasion, he's met only by a demon-possessed man who is waiting for Jesus. So again, clearly no one had travelled to this region carrying the stories of this new Jewish Messiah miracle worker that was on the scene, that was making such an impression on people. So we have a non-Jew in a non-Jewish area who for a long time has lived naked and lived amongst tombs. I would imagine for the typical Jew of the day, this man would have been seen as dirty, unclean, almost subhuman. Just imagine the shame and the brokenness. And if you think about it, Jesus has taken the boat across Galilee, possibly battling with demonically influenced storms, simply to set this man free, for this one man. Because that's our Jesus, isn't he? He is the one who goes after the outsider, the rejected, the broken. Now, as with all scripture, it is primarily about Jesus. I say that because I want to pick out a few things about this demonized man, and you, like I, have probably met many Christians who get obsessed and fascinated with demonology and the names of demons, and in doing so, they take their eyes off Jesus. But conversely, we delude ourselves if we ignore the reality of the spiritual battle and the unseen realm. C.S. Lewis says in Screwtape Letters, there's no neutral ground in the universe. Every inch is claimed and counterclaimed by the demonic and angelic beings. And so as Christians, we are called to wage war against spiritual principalities and powers in heavenly places. And if that sort of stuff scares you or gives you the heebie-jeebies, then I'd really encourage you to take that to God and to ask him through his word to give you a greater revelation of how secure and how safe and powerful you are in him as you are seated with him in heavenly realms. Now, this man, who we can only assume at some point lived a normal life, for reasons unknown to us, had opened a doorway to the demonic and as a result had been possessed by numerous evil spirits. Personally, I believe that legion is hyperbole. A Roman legion would have up to 6,000 soldiers, but I just think it meant many, or maybe there to intimidate Jesus. And we see in this passage the unveiling of two names. This man's demonic name is unveiled, but Jesus' name is unveiled. Jesus, the Son of the Most High God, the name above all names. And this bargaining takes place. The demons don't want to go into the abyss. And like in the natural world, the spiritual world has numerous dimensions. The abyss is mentioned in Revelation 9:11, heaven, hell, Sheol, the grave, Abraham's bosom. But I think what's happening here is that from the rest of the Gospels, it's almost like the demons and the devil, they knew that one day Jesus would come to earth as the victor, as the conqueror, as the judge. He would judge all and make all things new. But they hadn't realized God's secret plan hidden in Scripture, that Jesus would come to earth before that for a first time as a humble human to suffer and to die and to rescue and to save. And so I think that's some of the dynamic that's taking place in this passage. Jesus full of compassion and grace. And Jesus simply commands the demon to leave the man. And the man is restored in his right mind, clothed and adopting the posture of a disciple sat at Jesus' feet. It's just beautiful, isn't it? What I think is interesting here is that the crowds only get a partial revelation of Jesus through this miracle. They only see his awesome power, but this man gets a fuller revelation. He encountered the power and the love of Jesus. And this dynamic is true of so many religious people. They have a notion of a God to be feared, a God of power and might, a harsh taskmaster. But Jesus always makes a way for us to engage with God as Abba, Father, the God of compassion and mercy.